Anubis, the jackal-headed god of ancient Egypt, stands as one of the most iconic and mysterious figures of the ancient world, a deity whose presence weaves through tomb walls, funerary rites, and the deepest questions the Egyptians held about death, protection, and the journey beyond. To speak of Anubis is to step into a realm where divine guardians walked beside mortals, where the line between life and afterlife was not a boundary but a passage, and where every soul depended on the guidance of a god who understood both darkness and clarity. The ancient Egyptians feared death, certainly, but more than that, they respected it as a sacred transition. And Anubis was the one who governed that threshold. In early Egyptian mythology, long before Osiris rose to prominence, Anubis was the primary god of the dead. His earliest depictions appear on pre-dynastic pottery and desert carvings, showing a black jackal or wild dog watching over burial sites. To the ancient Egyptians, scavenging animals were both feared and revered, capable of disturbing graves but also guarding them, and from this tension emerged the perfect symbol for a protective deity. Anubis was not a destroyer but a watcher, guarding the bodies of the dead from wild beasts, thieves, and decay. His black fur was not the color of an actual jackal, but a symbolic color associated with the fertile black soil of the Nile after its annual flood, the soil from which new life grew. Anubis's darkness was therefore life-giving, a promise of renewal within death. As Egyptian mythology developed, Anubis became associated with the great myth of Osiris. According to one of the most widely known narratives, after Osiris was murdered and dismembered by his brother Set, it was Anubis who aided Isis in recovering the body, reassembling the fragments, and performing the first mummification. Through this sacred act, Anubis became known as the inventor of embalming, the divine patron of mummifiers, and the guardian of every preserved body. Priests performing mummification often wore masks of Anubis to embody his presence, believing that through them he worked with divine precision. Every wrapping of linen, every ritual purification, was an echo of what Anubis once did for Osiris. But Anubis's role did not end with mummification. In the complex cosmology of the Egyptian afterlife, he became the psychopomp, the guide of souls, leading the deceased through the twisting corridors of the Jewet, the shadowy realm beyond death. It was a journey filled with challenges, gates, guardians, and halls where truth and chaos battled for dominance. The soul, newly freed from its earthly shell, was vulnerable, and Anubis served as a protector, ensuring it reached the Hall of Two Truths for its great judgment. This is where his most famous role shines, the weighing of the heart. In this ritual, the deceased's heart, believed to contain the sum of one's deeds and essence, was placed on a scale against the feather of Maat, the embodiment of cosmic order, truth, and justice. Anubis stood at the scale, calm and impartial, ensuring the fairness of the weighing. If the heart was lighter or equal, the soul was permitted to continue toward eternal life. If heavier, it was devoured by Ammit, the monstrous eater of hearts. In this moment, Anubis served not as judge. That was Osiris's role, but as the guardian of balance, an arbiter of integrity, making sure no divine or malevolent force interfered with the truth of a person's life. Throughout Egyptian history, Anubis's imagery extended into amulets, statues, coffins, and papyri. He was often shown standing over a mummy on a funerary couch, hands outstretched in blessing. He was shown as a full jackal lying alert atop a shrine. He was depicted leading the deceased into the presence of Osiris. His presence was so central to funerary belief that tombs were often called the houses of Anubis. Even when Osiris became the king of the dead, Anubis never lost his purpose. Instead, he refined it, becoming the divine guardian who ensured that Osiris's realm remained just, orderly, and protected. Modern archaeological evidence shows that the cult of Anubis was widespread and powerful. Temples, shrines, and necropolis complexes, especially those at Saqqara, Abydos, and the Theban necropolis, contain inscriptions and artwork illustrating rituals dedicated to him. The priests of Anubis oversaw the embalming workshops, controlling the sacred knowledge of preservation. Mummification was not merely a technique but a holy craft, an act of cooperation with the divine. To preserve a body was to harmonize with eternity itself. Later in Egyptian thought, Anubis also became linked to Wepwat, a similar jackal deity whose name meant opener of the ways. While they were initially distinct, over time their roles intertwined, further strengthening Anubis's association with guiding souls and opening pathways into the afterlife. The epithets given to Anubis reflect this. He who is upon his mountain, meaning he who watches from the desert cliffs over the necropolis. Lord of the sacred land, referring to the burial grounds. He who presides over the embalming place, and opener of the ways of the West, indicating his ability to guide souls beyond the physical world. For those who engage with Anubis symbolically today, the focus is often on themes of protection, transition, truth-seeking, and inner transformation. Anubis represents the ability to navigate the unknown, to move through personal shadow without fear, and to understand that endings are not annihilation but transformation. Modern symbolic practices connected to him may involve candlelight meditations, especially with black or gold tones, reflecting his connection to both shadow and divine illumination. Incense such as frankincense or kaifi may be used to evoke the ancient temple atmosphere, not as an act of summoning, but as a contemplative ambience. Some people meditate on the image of Anubis as a guide, imagining themselves walking through a desert night under a vast Egyptian sky, feeling his steady presence as a guardian of thresholds. Another symbolic gesture drawn from ancient practice is the use of small offerings such as bread, water, or oil, items frequently left in tombs as sustenance for the soul. These offerings today are understood metaphorically, honoring the themes of remembrance, continuity, and respect for ancestors. A quiet, reflective space with a simple candle and an image of Anubis can serve as a place to contemplate personal transformation, the letting go of old forms, and the acceptance of new pathways. Anubis, though associated with death, is not a figure of gloom. The ancient Egyptians did not see death as a tragedy, but as a sacred journey requiring preparation, dignity, and guidance. Anubis embodies calmness in the face of the unknown, the ability to walk through darkness without losing one's sense of self. He holds the balance between endings and beginnings, preservation and transformation, truth and illusion. His presence in Egyptian culture lasted for over 3,000 years because he fulfilled a need deeply rooted in the human soul. The need for a guardian when facing the mysteries that lie beyond mortal understanding. In the end, Anubis remains a timeless symbol of protection and passage. He watches, he guides, he preserves. His black fur gleams with the promise of rebirth, and his steady hand ensures that every soul finds its way. Through deserts and tombs, myths and mysteries, he stands unchanged, the watcher at the gates, the guardian of the silent lands, and the gentle conductor of souls who walk between worlds. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications button